Today we're talking about Big Growlin Sax. This is a really cool library that we're glad to finally have made. We're super excited about this one. We've been planning to make a library like this for a long time after getting many requests for, does the sax growl? Can it growl? Can it do the bluesy pop growl sound? And seeing the other attempts by some other libraries to kind of fake the growl, you know, to record a real saxophone and then kind of add the growl later, we really decided that you can't really fake it. This is not something you can fake or add after the fact or kind of process a natural sax sound and add the growl. You got to really record somebody playing like this. So we found this amazing saxophone player that kind of specializes in this sound, this kind of bendy, growly, aggressive blues kind of playing. And we got him in the studio. We were lucky enough to get him, and he played like this in the studio for several days. It was pretty incredible. So Big Growlin Sax is made for the full version of Kontakt. So you have to own the full version of Kontakt 6 or higher, 6.71 or higher. So this won't run on the free Kontakt player. And this is using our smart delay technology, our smart delay 2.0, which is similar to the guitar JB145. It comes with a plugin that compensates for the smart delay. In your folder that you download, there'll be a zip file with install file to install this plugin. If you don't have the JB145 already, if you already have the plugin, then you don't need to install it again, but it's in the folder when you purchase it. And then you can go down to I'm in Logic here, but it'll show up wherever your plugins show up, smart delay offset, and it looks like that. So that allows the compensation. So for those of you that don't know about smart delay, the real fast elevator pitch for smart delay is it basically looks ahead to analyze your phrase, and it chooses from this massive matrix of samples that are extracted from a player playing in real time. So they're playing basically this long piece of music with all these intervals and all these kind of articulations that we want to get. And they're playing basically a written piece of music with all those things in it. And then we extract all the samples out. You play a phrase in, smart delay analyzes it, and it needs a few seconds to kind of see what's coming. So it's very important for it to see what's next. So what's the next note you're going to play? It does all kinds of amazing things, and the realism is just through the roof. And so you have the smart delay plugin just to deal with that delay. Imagine, it has a couple of seconds of delay, and it's just compensating for that, so everything stays in sync. So once you put it on there, you don't really have to worry about it too much. Yeah, so this saxophone, it's one dynamic, everything played with a growl, and then also without a growl. You see here, you've got this little growl control. You can turn the growl off. It's still got that very intense altissimo, saxophone goes really high. So we recorded the upper altissimo register. So it works for blues, it works for rock sax, it works for the kind of 50s R&B sound, it works for 70s and 80s kind of R&B. It works for like TV music really well, that kind of sax, kind of intense, melodic, bendy saxophone. And so what we'll do real quick, we'll just play in a quick phrase, and you can hear it, and we'll turn on smart delay and you can kind of see real quick. And then I'll go through the articulations and some of the features. When you're recording, you should turn real time on. It loads in real time. Also now, this is a little different than our older new standard instruments. In smart delay, if the transport is not running, you can see Logic is not moving. You can still play it in real time, which we realize is much nicer. So I'll just play a phrase in, and then we'll check it out. Okay, so that's in real time. I'll add just C0 is just the kind of legato key switch, which is kind of the basic. It's going to do all the fancy smart delay stuff. Now I'm just going to quantize it and make all the samples nice and long. Okay, so now when I turn smart delay on, you get this message. For added realism, engage smart delay and go to your DAW, add the plugin smart delay offset, which we already did. So your instrument track, now our script will be able to look ahead, analyze your phrases, and select the best samples from thousands of samples per pitch. Enjoy. So basically what I just said, this explains, make sure you have the plugin on. You can click the little wrench and say, don't tell me again, just in case I forget, remind me again. And then you close it with this little question mark. So, okay, so now we have Smart Delay on, and let's just listen to the Smart Delay playback. So now it's analyzing everything. It's pulling all these samples from the performance of the musician we had playing. It's going to add all this kind of bendy, bluesy stuff to it that is not added after the fact. This is not like pitch bend or anything. It's just the way the player played it. So we'll turn off the click. Just to point out the things that are happening, we're hearing short notes. When you play short notes, it plays actual short notes, not just a sustain shortened. It actually plays long notes. And when you play very short notes, it'll pick different short notes. And you play longer short notes, it'll play from different recordings. And you can hear, I think, that there's quite a bit of bending going on. So and even this, so you're getting all these like really smooth legato, smoothly bent notes here and there. I'm finding that when I'm playing it, like it plays it back in a really inspiring way that like, whoa, I would never have thought to do. But if I had hired a saxophone player that played like this and they play it, they give it all that soul and give it all that vibe, it's like really, really inspiring. But the caveat is that, yes, it is very stylized. This is a highly stylized instrument, and some of these bends might not be the right thing at the right moment. So we've added, for this instrument, we've added something called the vanilla key switch, which here is just this B below the key switch range. So you have legato, which is C, and vanilla is the one below. Now what vanilla is, basically it's gonna go to the most basic in tune note. Now there's some, it's gonna play legato and it's gonna connect the notes, so they're quite usable, but they're just gonna be they still have that real intense vibrato, but they're not gonna have these kind of bendy kind of sounds. So for example, like this phrase, maybe to me that's awesome, but maybe that's not the right vibe you want. So all you have to do is put the little B key switch on that one note, and it's gonna flatten it out, play it in tune, and make it just a little more quote unquote normal. So if you don't want the bend, right? Without it, it's this. And then maybe the same thing for this note right here. Yeah, this note is quite bent. So if I don't want it so bent, maybe I'll just do that. So it evens it out. So we realize that because this thing is so stylized and it has so much personality, you're gonna maybe want to counteract it in spots. I'm finding that using it is really inspiring, and that it's playing things in a very stylized way that is better than what I imagined. You know, when we started Straight Ahead Samples, the reason we started this company is to make virtual instruments that act more like real musicians, you know, and that experience you have when you bring in a real musician, you have an idea about what you wanted them to play, but when they came in and played it, it's that 1 and 1 equals 3 kind of thing. It's just so much better than you imagined. And so we wanted, you know, we're always striving to make our instruments give you more, you know, than just playing back these sort of flat kind of soulless notes. So we think we really got that with this instrument for sure. But in certain spots it might be too much, or you might just not like a certain bend. So we got the vanilla key switch to counteract that if you need. let's just kind of look at the interface. This is a kind of a super stripped down and really simple. We wanted this instrument to just be pretty straightforward and not a ton of bells and whistles, because it's just about this growling sound, this bendy growling saxophone. So you got a reverb. It's nice. You got expression. This is CC11. So I'm moving my expression fader here. So that's your volume. If you want to massage the dynamics a bit. We've got, similar to our other new standard, we got 4 mics. We got a close mic. We got a mic the same mic. Actually, this is a different mic, but run through a tape machine. Then we got the room mic. So maybe let's load them up real quick and we can just hear a little bit. The tape is... So, yeah, you can hear it's quite a bit darker than the close mic. The room, this is our standard room mic we like, which is lovely to if you blend it. We find, I say this a lot, but we find that it really projects a lot louder if you can find a nice balance of some of that room mic with either the close or the tape. And if you want a more vintage sound, it's going to be roomier. It's going to have that roomier vibe. We'll really sell that. Let's turn the expression up so we can hear what we're doing. Then we got our bleed mic. So this is our convolution that's supposed to mimic the sound of just another mic in the room. It's truly just like another mic is on something else on the drums. So we really love to pan this hard. Let's say you have the drums pan to the right. You can pan this bleed to the right and get like a really cool spatial thing. It kind of glues it in the mix really nicely. So that's a feature we kept. You have your articulation display here. Well, I guess before we say that, we'll talk about the growl. So you have growl on, growl off. That's basically it. Here, it looked like a little gear shift. Isn't that fun? It's mod wheel controlled as well for automating, if you want to have some growl parts and some non-growls. Kind of the reverse of the... it didn't make sense for the down to be growl. So anyway, it's inverse. It'll just take a second to get used to. Before I talk about articulations, let's talk about the range. So I mentioned quickly that we have this extended range. So none of that is pitched up. That's all really played all the way up to the C. This is on a tenor saxophone, so it's quite high. Now you are missing a few low notes on a standard tenor saxophone. I'm just saying it because someone's gonna say it doesn't have all the notes. But because we extended the range so high, and this kind of sound, it works a lot better in the medium to higher range. It just doesn't really speak on the low end of the horn. You got to rein it in somewhere. Like, you have to decide what's important. So those lowest notes, to me, they're not in this style at all. They're not really used in that way. You got all the way down to the E flat. And you can even hear the down here. The growl just isn't as much of a thing as such a hallmark sound, up there. So you have an extended range up high. E flat down here, all the way up to C, altissimo. So your articulations show here. So they are laid out just like our new standard instruments, missing a couple things, but mostly it's all here. So I'll just go through them and we'll talk about it. It mostly works like, you know, Birth of the Trumpet or those instruments. There's a few little differences, and because we're in Smart Delay 2.0, there's actually some benefits, some feature benefits that we have. Let's just run through them real quick. So again, we already talked about the vanilla key switch. That gives you, the vanilla key switch in real time isn't any different. It's only in those Smart Delay moments where you're not in love with the bendy bit, or it's a little out of tune, maybe. That's part of the sound too. You know, it's like this slightly subtle tuning difference that really sells it, you know. So we have our legato, that's obvious. That's what we've been hearing. We got staccato. So lots of round robins. Staccatissimo. Again, lots of round robins. These work a little different than in the other one. This is a request we've had a lot, that a lot of these shorter notes actually stop when you let go. So you can hear how long that is, that staccato. But I can artificially make it shorter. So if you want the full value, hold it all the way down. So staccatissimo tongued again. This is just in Smart Delay. It just gives every note, it tells every note that you want a harder attack. It won't slur things as much. That is another way often to get rid of some of the bending. If you don't like it, you could make the note tongued and it'll bend it a little less. We got forte pianos. We got half step bends, whole step bends. And again, all these are in growl and not growl, just to say it. So you have growl and not growl for everything. Falls, we have lots of different falls, right? There's so many different, not just like when you're in legato, you're getting thousands of samples behind the scenes in the Smart Delay script is finding, but you have some fall options. So if I hit the key really hard, I get kind of a longer fall. If I hit it soft, I get more of just a lip fall. So you'd call kind of one a lip fall and one of a fingered fall. So one is just with the chops, just with the mouth, just kind of letting go. You hear it, it's a, and then you've got a fingered fall if you hit it hard. And so you have that across the board. And then you've got a really long fall, we call long fall. Now, this is similar to what I was talking about with the staccatos. By request, now the long falls let go if you let go. So they don't keep going if you let go. So that's pretty long. So if you don't want all that, it lets go. Okay. So scoops. Now again, this is like falls. There's acres of these. In real time, you kind of get like a bent, you kind of get a crossfaded one. So it's a performed scoop crossfading to a sustain. In real time, it's choosing from this huge matrix of all these different scoops. You get short ones, long ones. Deutz. Again, those let go when you let go. So if you don't want quite as much. Riffs. So just a little run in, similar to Gliss runs. If I play two notes, you play a first note and then you play the Gliss key switch in between, you get the Gliss. And again, so this is a big, huge benefit of Smart Delay, which you can watch. There's tons of other videos about, you can see, but the Gliss, as an example, is a huge example of Smart Delay where I'll just show you super fast. So like if I put this Gliss key switch into the first note, so you can see this note still landed on the downbeat. So it started the gliss before the note, right? Impossible to do unless you have some kind of look ahead or our smart delay. It's impossible to start the note before you play the note, right? So because this script and the plugin is allowing Logic to look ahead, it knows, okay, I got to start this gliss in enough time so that this note happens on the beat. If you think about the way most other sample libraries work, you're nudging this note around until the gliss happens where you want it. But now you just put the arrival where you want it, and it starts the run early. So that's just a quick example of one of the hundreds of benefits of smart delay and things that are literally impossible unless you have some kind of look ahead. So glisses, that's how those work. Half step bends. That's a cool articulation. Try it sometimes if you have literally written da 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 half step in your music. Sometimes, you know, it's got its own rhythm to it, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's a really cool sound to mess with. Now we're getting into the crescendos. Crescendo hairpin. There's the combination of the forte piano and the crescendo hairpin. So if you play forte piano and then you play the crescendo, you get a forte piano into crescendo. So you get the stung note to the crescendo as opposed to just the crescendo. And then we added this kind of fun thing. When we made the tuba, we kind of let the tuba player just kind of play some stuff and just kind of play some wild sounds. This one, because it has such this bluesy vibe to it, we thought it'd be fun to just have some riffs. So these are just some riffs, you know, and you can use little pieces of them, or you can just use. If you hit at different velocities, you get different ones. Or so it's really just thrown in for fun. It's not meant to be comprehensive in any way. Just kind of a fun addition to add. So yeah, so those are your basic articulations. Again, the real power of this instrument is how stylized it is and how much of those bends and all that vibe and soul are just injected into every phrase you play. So that's really the spirit of this instrument, and I think you'll find it's really fun to play with. I'll mention in your folder here, so I'm loading the instruments via the Files tab. It won't show up here for the avoidance of doubt. This is, again, for full Kontakt only, so you'll load it from the Files tab. There's a 4-beat smart delay version as well, so you would use this if you were using, say, Birth of the Trumpet or Atomic Big Band, and you wanted to mix in the Big Growlin Sax. So basically, it does the same kind of delay as those, if you're familiar with those, which is basically it delays everything 4 beats. You wouldn't need the plugin. You just load that up, and that would work that way. But everything else is the same. The delay is just different, how much time it's taking to look at it. So yeah, that's Big Growlin Sax. Thanks so much for watching. There's some other great demos we're releasing videos of, so check all those out to hear Big Growlin Sax excel at several different styles. Yeah, thanks so much. See you next time.